Let's start with a quick recap of yesterday's work on set notation. We've got our Venn diagram at the top here, and we're going to use that to answer the questions down the left. Now, first of all, this is asking us what are the elements of set A? What are the members of set A? Remember, we use those curly brackets, those braces, to show that. And we write the elements in numerical order. This is asking us for the union of A and B. That means in A or in B, or it could be in both. Here we have the intersect of A and B, and that means it's got to be in both of them. So just this section where they overlap, where they intersect in the middle. We've got the complement of A here, and that means not A. So in this case, it's anything not in the circle here. And the last one's a little bit trickier. So in brackets, we've got A union B, but we've got the complement sign outside, so it's not the union of A and B. So not inside A or inside B, just the elements which are outside. Now, moving on slightly from this, we're going to look at probability. The first one here means what's the probability of getting a number in set A if we take one of this universal set at random? So there's 6 numbers in the universal set, the numbers 1 to 6. 2 of them are in set A, so the probability is 2, 6, but we simplify it where we can. So the probability if we picked a number at random that it'd be at the union of A or B, well, we've already seen over here there's 4 numbers out of 6, and again we can simplify it. So using the work we've already done on the left makes that really nice and straightforward. Couple of questions here. Pause the video, have a go, come back and check your answers. First couple there are pretty straightforward. Gets tricky with this third one. So we want to find out how many numbers there are in A intersect the complement of B. So how many numbers there are in A that are and not in B. So there's just one number there out of the 8. Here we have, instead of it being the intersect, we have the union. So we want everything that's in A or not in B. So this time it includes the 3 numbers here. Simplifies to a half. Last one, so we've got the complement of A intersect B. So A intersect B, remember where they overlap in the middle. We want not that, so we want everything else outside, which gives us a probability, picking one of those numbers being 5 out of 8. It's a bit tricky when we've got a triple Venn, but same idea holds. So I've written down the first 3 answers here, which should be fairly straightforward. So B union C, anything in B or C, there's 7 of our 9 numbers there. Not in A, there's 4 numbers out of the 9 not in A. And A intersect B intersect C, so that's the bit in the middle, there's just 1 number in there. Here we've got the complement of A, so not in A or in C. Now that gives us those 4 numbers out of 9. It would be exactly the same if we're looking for the probability of not in A. And the last one here, if we start with this bit, so we've got the intersect of A and C, but it's the complement of that. So not the intersect there. We want the intersect of everything here with B. So that's going to be, in both, is going to be those three numbers there, and it will simplify down to a third. So far, all the Venn diagrams we've seen have had the elements themselves marked on them. These questions are different because they're using frequency. So it's the frequency of the elements, the number of the elements, not the elements themselves, that we'll be representing on there. Have a read through this first question. There's loads of information there about the type of animals 100 people have. So in there, some have got dogs, some have got cats, some have got tropical fish. And we need to fill in the Venn diagram and then use that to answer the questions on probability. Now, the first bit of information we get here is that 25 of them own dogs. Now, we can't use that at the moment because we don't know how that 25 would be split up within the set here. What we need to do is start off with the information about the centre, which is that 7 people own dogs, cats and tropical fish, and then we can use this to start working out. Now, 10 people have cats and tropical fish, which means we must have 3 people in here because there's already 7 in that intersection between cats and fish. 11 own dogs and tropical fish, so there must be 4 in here, and 15 own dogs and cats, so that means we've got 8 here. We can now use that fact that 25 people have dogs because we can see we've already got 19 in that dog set, so there must be just 6 who have dogs and not other animals. There are 53 people with cats, so that gives us 35 just with cats, and 40 people with tropical fish, which means we've got 26 here. Now, we were told at the beginning there's 100 people here. If we add up all the numbers in the Venn diagram, we'll see that they add up to 89. So there must be 11 people, 11 of the clients who don't have dogs, cats or fish. So now we're ready to answer the probability questions. Probability if someone was chosen at random that they only owned a dog, that's 6 out of the 100. Probability they don't own tropical fish. Now, there were 40 that did own tropical fish, so 60 that don't. And the probability they don't own any of these animals, that was the 11 that we found out of 100. The last probability question here is a bit different because it's conditional probability. So it's not going to be out the full 100 people. So it's saying, given that a randomly chosen person owns a cat, so let's just think there. So there were 53 people who owned a cat. So that's what this probability will be out of. So out of these people who've got a cat, what's the probability they own a dog as well? And that's the people in the intersect here. So we've got 8 with a cat and a dog, plus another 7 who have fish as well. So that'll be 15 out of 53. This practice question's really similar. Remember to start off in the centre as you're working through it. So filling it in from the centre, you should have ended up with these numbers. And if we add up the total of all these, it comes to 93, which means 7 people don't run, swim or cycle. That's what we need for the first probability question. So someone was randomly selected. There's a 7 in 100 chance that they didn't do any of these exercises. Probability someone swims but does not run. So swims but does not run is this 3 people here plus these 5 here. So that's just 8 out of 100. Takes at least 2 types of exercise. So these groups all do 2 types of exercise, and it's at least, so it includes these ones as well. So that's 55 out of 100. We can simplify that. And also I should have simplified this one as we went before. Last question's a conditional one again. So if someone from the survey runs, find the probability that they also swim but don't cycle. So we're starting off just looking at the people who run. So that was 65 people who run. We need the probability. Oh, I've lost some of those numbers. You can see I'm not quite used to this pen and board yet, but I can patch it up. So out of those 65 that run, we wanted the probability that they also swim, but they do not cycle. So these ones swim, but do not cycle. These ones do both. So it's 15 out of 65, which we can simplify down. Stop the video at this point. Go and have a try with task 1 that's uploaded in Show My Homework. Spend about 15 minutes on it before you check your answers, and you'll see at the top that I've differentiated the question. So there's different places you can start and have a go at. Hopefully you got on really well with that last task. We're going to look now at a slightly different type of problem. So here there's a test with 2 sections, and we're told that everyone who took the test passed at least one section. So 88% passed the literacy section, 76% passed the numeracy section, and we've got to represent this on a Venn diagram. Now we have got enough information here. If we add up the 88% and the 76%, we get 164%. Now, it shouldn't total more than 100%. So what this shows us is that 64% of the people have been counted twice. So 64% of the people must be in the intersect between those 2 sets. We can then use this. So 88% passed literacy. We've already got 64 in the middle, so that must be 24% there. And numeracy, the pass rate was 76%, so that gives us 12% there. Now, if we add these all up, they should add to 100 because the question said everyone passed at least one section. And luckily they do. So now we can do the probability bit. The probability that the person passed both tests was 64 out of 100. The probability of passing the literacy test only was those 24 out of 100. This question is similar. Work it through, come back for the answer. So 30 people had pets. We know that 10 had a dog, 7 had a cat. Oh, I don't know why I've done the number 7. That should be a C for cat. And 16 had neither. Now, if we add up these 3 values we've got here, we'll see they add up to 33. So 3 people more than there should be from the question. So that means 3 people must have been counted twice. And now we can go back and think, well, 10 had a dog. We've got 3 here. So it must be 7 just for the dog. 7 had a cat. Must be 4 just with a cat. And if we add these up, they should add up to 30, which they do. So the probability of choosing someone at random who has both, out of our group of 30, because we're looking at everyone here, that's just 3. Conditional probability question here. Out of those who had a dog, so 10 people had a dog, the probability that one of those 10 people also had a cat is 3 out of 10. Right, time for me to stop rambling on now and leave you to it. So second task, questions and solutions in Show My Homework. Have a go through these. There's some challenging questions there. Hopefully you'll manage to work through well with them, but please get in touch if you need any help with them. So work through with those till the end of the lesson, but make sure you leave enough time for this exit ticket. Remember, we'll do this every couple of lessons, 1 or 2 questions just for you to do. You don't need to print it. You can just do it on a bit of scrap paper, send me a photo just so I can see how you're getting on. Last thing I'll say though is just back on those problem solving questions in task 2. The last one of them looks just like this. Not going to say any more about it, but if you manage to email me your answer for it, I'll give you a bonus lockdown point for that. So take care, hope you're well, and remember to get that exit ticket submitted. Nothing else needs to come in, just the exit ticket.